Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we're back with another of these absolutely incredible Jurassic Justin / Caldera Collectibles Allosaurus, and as you can see, we've got two more versions here. We've got, again, the 1/18th scale and the 1/32nd scale version of this particular release of the Allosaurus, this particular color scheme. This one here is actually meant to represent kind of like the Mattel Jurassic World toy form version, but what's cool is when I had reviewed the Battle at Big Rock version of the Allosaurus, there were quite a few people that were saying that they would have preferred the Allosaurus not to be blind because, you know, then it can basically be any Allosaurus. It doesn't have to specifically be the Battle at Big Rock version, and that's basically where this one can come into play. If you'd prefer to have a non-blind version of a very obviously Jurassic World style Allosaurus, then this is a great choice to go with because it absolutely looks very similar to the Battle at Big Rock style Allosaurus, and that is because the Allosaurus that this one is meant to represent is in fact the Battle at Big Rock style Allosaurus. The Allosaurus, I'm pretty sure that this one is meant to kind of represent would be this version, which I believe was the Battle at Big Rock Allosaurus from Mattel, so it's basically like replicating the color scheme in a more realistic way of this Mattel figure. And again, so I mean, basically it gives you the chance to have a Jurassic World style Allosaurus just without the blind eye and everything. But yet again, both of them look fantastic, so let's jump to a closer look and check them out from there. So when it comes to this version of the Allosaurus, which is named the Toyetic version, you can see again the sculpt is the same as the previous Allosaurus that we had reviewed. So no differences as far as the sculpt goes. Seems like the only one that has any actual real differences would be the original version, which is the Malta / Battle at Big Rock version that we had taken a look at. But this one, again, is basically meant to represent like the toy form version of the Mattel style Allosaurus, but again in a way higher quality as far as the paint apps go. So basically you can see we've got some nice bluish tones. We've got like a dark blue, but then he's dry brushed some lighter blues over top, which you can really see when you look up here on the top of the head. You can also really see how incredible that detail pops and how nice it really is up there on the top of the head. But you can see that coloration basically extends up into the crests of the Allosaurus. As you lead down, you do have a darker tone there around the eye, a very dark variation of a blue. We can also see the eyes are painted with a yellow, given a black pupil. They do have a little bit of white in there as well. And as you move back down into the face, you start to see like some greenish tones pick up, and then you've got this very cool variation of like a light brown with a light dry brushing over it, and you see more of that as we lead down here into the lower jaw as well. Again, really nicely highlighting all of that scale detail. We do transition back to the blues though as we lead up there into the lower jaw, you know, toward the tip of the lower jaw. You see more of the blues up there on the top as you lead into the snout as well. Of course, we've got the articulated jaw going on. You can see again, you've got a nice pinkish tone in there. Kind of looks like maybe there's a dry brushing over that as well. Kind of looks like maybe like a grayish dry brushing, so adding a little variation of color in there. And as you move into the mouth, you continue to have those variations of color throughout. Again, every time I look at the inside of the mouth of this Allosaurus, I am consistently blown away. But you can see we've also got like a purple bluish tongue in here. It kind of looks like some dark blues up here, and then they transition to like a lighter variation of a purple as you extend it down there toward the tip of the tongue. The teeth as well are all painted beautifully and painted with a nice light yellowish tone, kind of like a off-white bordering on a light yellow. But as you move up here into the top of the head, again, you can see those light blues dry brushed over the darker blues. As we move back, though, into the neck, we change it up to a very dark blue without that dry brushing. And as you move down, you see that dark blue follow along the back of the dinosaur, but then you see the different variations of blue down here on the side of the dinosaur as we move down through the course of the neck. And I think the way he's highlighted all of the scale detail is perfect and just makes that paint job pop so nicely. We continue to have the variations of browns and yellowish browns down here on the underside of the Allosaurus moving down. We also have more of those blues moving down through the course of the arm. You can see even a light blue, well, there we go, running down through the course of the scoots of the fingers. Again, the nails are painted with a nice glossy black, and then as you move to the back of the arms, you can see a really smooth transition again to the lighter tones to what we have on the underside of the Allosaurus. Same deal as you move down through the course of the body. Again, moving along the underside, you still see that really beautiful dry brushing. Like that dry brushing he's applied highlights each and every scale so nicely. And again, the transition up is really smooth as well. Again, as we lead back into the bluish tones, there you can really see the rib cage shining very nicely on the side of the model. But as you lead back up even further, again, we return to that very dark blue up here on the top of the Allosaurus. Moving down through the course of the leg, again, you've got the blues in the front of the leg, you've got the lighter tones in the back, and you can even see a little bit of like a hint of the greenish tones moving down through the course of the leg all the way down as you lead down into that foot sculpt. Again, the lighter blue has been dry brushed over those scoots again to highlight them, and you also have the lighter tones moving down along the undersides of the feet. You again have the nails painted with a nice glossy black, and yes, you do also have the dew claws painted. And then we move back up again into the tail, and we pretty much follow the same trend the entire way out there through the course of the tail of the Allosaurus. It all basically has that same coloration leading the entire way out all the way toward the tip again with the darker blues. Then you have that somewhat lighter blue, and then the lighter tones on the underside. And of course, you're going to see the same thing no matter what side you look at. It's going to look incredible. And you can also see, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's no difference from one side to the other as far as the eye goes. No blind eye look or anything like that for this version of the Allosaurus. So if you do prefer the non-blind eye version, I think that this is a great way to go. Definitely, again, another unbelievable Allosaurus. And then just like with the others, we also again have the 1/32nd scale version. And just like I said before, it's the same figure as the larger version, obviously just at a fraction of the size compared to the larger one. But you can see moving through again, it all looks pretty much the same as far as the coloration goes. The sculpt is very obviously the exact same. If you open the mouth, you can see the tongue and everything painted the same way. Jurassic Justin is really, really good at what he does, and you can very clearly see that when it comes to whether it be the larger version or the smaller versions of the Allosaurus. They are all absolutely beautiful and picture perfect in every way. One thing I do want to do, though, which is one of the reasons why I'm putting a good bit of focus on this version, the 1/32nd version, is I'm going to do a few size comparisons here in a moment, because people were asking for size comparisons for this size range, which I actually failed to do in my last review. So I definitely wanted to rectify that mistake and give us a few size comparisons in this one. But obviously you can see again the sculpt, the paint, everything on this is exactly as it is on the larger version, just at a much smaller size. And then again, the base, you get a base with the 1/18th scale version, just like we had with all of the others. You can see it's pretty much the same thing. Again, no real differences between any of them as far as the bases go. Again, just a nice earthy area with some gorgeous paintwork applied to it, lots of realism and everything throughout, and then a nice stand to put the Allosaurus on. So let's go ahead and check out some size comparisons for that 1/32nd scale version. So for our first comparison, we have the TNG Allosaurus, which you can see is a little bit smaller than the Jurassic Justin version. We've also got the How Long Good Allosaurus, which very clearly is a whole lot smaller. And a few of these comparisons were actually requested, like this one, which is the Rebor Saurophaganax, which you can see kind of similar in size, but definitely a little bit bulkier when it comes to that Rebor figure. But speaking of Saurophaganax, we do have the PNSO version here next to the Allosaurus, which you can see is a little bit smaller than the Allosaurus, as well as the PNSO Allosaurus, again stepping in for a comparison, which also is a little bit smaller than the Jurassic Justin version. We also have the W Dragon Allosaurus, which you can see is actually very similar in size to the Jurassic Justin Allosaurus, just a little bit smaller, I would say, but really not by much. As well as the Nanmu version of the Allosaurus, which is also very similar in size to our Jurassic Justin version, but again, just a little bit smaller, a little bit skinnier. And even though I use this size comparison in the actual Allosaurus Assault review from the Jurassic Justin Allosaurus, you can see a comparison here with just the two standing next to each other as far as the 1/32nd scale version and the Hasbro Allosaurus Assault figure. And the final comparison would be the Mattel Allosaurus that this figure here is kind of, I don't know if I would say replicating, but based on. It's sort of like a tribute to the Mattel Allosaurus, which you can see here again next to the Jurassic Justin version. The Mattel version is definitely a bit bigger and bulkier, and obviously the Jurassic Justin Allosaurus is a whole lot more accurate as far as like proportions and everything go. I also don't feel like we really need to do any more comparisons, measurements, anything like that, because we've already done that stuff in the previous reviews. I basically wanted to take a look at the 1/32nd scale version and do a few comparisons to kind of give you an idea as far as what the size is in this review. So just put a little more focus on that version here on this video. But again, outside of that, the 1/18th scale version we've really gone over quite significantly. So yet again, these Jurassic Justin Allosaurus figures are a dream come true for anybody that is a Jurassic World Allosaurus fan. The sculpts on these are absolutely unbelievable, and I have said that with each and every one of these reviews. I've stated how darn good these sculpts are, and again, just how incredibly vibrant, whether it be the 1/18th scale version or the 1/32nd scale version. The Allosaurus is unbelievable when it comes to the sculpt. But yet again, the paint apps of this one, which is the only thing that differentiates these from the previously reviewed versions, the paint apps of this one are really nicely done. This is again the Toyetic version of the Allosaurus from Jurassic Justin, and like the actual paint apps of this, I feel like are really well done to kind of replicate that Mattel style Allosaurus, but in a way more realistic way. There's obviously a lot more effort, a lot more painting and techniques of painting that have actually been put into this, like dry brushing and stuff like that, to really make this look a lot more realistic and lifelike, basically replicating the Mattel version but in a way more realistic way. So he's done a very good job of applying the paint, and again, a great job of highlighting the sculpt with his paint, and also bringing the Allosaurus to life with many different variations of color, many different tones of color. You know, at first glance it might look like it's basically just a very small few tones of color, because we've got like blues and lighter tones on the underside, but when you get nice and close and really take a good look at it, you can see that there is a ton of paintwork and variation of color that has been applied to the figure, showing you that, as per usual, Jurassic Justin goes all out and puts his all and everything into what he makes. So again, two more absolutely incredible, super articulated Allosaurus from Jurassic Justin, and as I stated in my last review, these are going to sell out. They will sell out probably soon, and they are officially discontinued. He is not intending on making any more of them past this point. So if you do want to get some and get your hands on them, get them into your collection, you absolutely need to do that as soon as possible. Again, I had stated in my very first review of these figures, you could always do like PayPal Pay in 4, or maybe Affirm, something like that, where you can make payments on it. But again, they are basically discounted as low as they can go, and the best deal you're going to find when it comes to these Allosaurus right now on Jurassic Justin's Etsy shop. So make sure you head on over there through the link in the description. Go grab yourself some of these Allosaurus before they're gone. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.